Here I'll talk about neoliberalism, globalization, and critical discourse analysis. In the beginning, I'll just introduce what neoliberalism is so that we can see how this is relevant to critical discourse analysis and what kind of discourses generated about or within neoliberalism can be of our interest as the researchers in critical discourse analysis. New liberalism can primarily be seen as an economic policy or economic philosophy in which a certain form of capitalism has been furthered. New liberalism is characterized by some kind of free market, deregulation, privatizations of the industries, where the role of state has been reduced to the minimum. And this also emphasizes on the role of individual and the identity of individual as compared to the collective roles or collective interests of the people. In this way, it shifts away from the responsibility of a state from welfare state to some kind of less interfering state which promotes free market instead of excessive regulations. So the new liberalism era began somewhere in 1970s. It's yet another or an advanced form of capitalism, and then later on it became prominent as time passes. It is a specific form of free market capitalism that has largely come to dominate global economics. Uh, in the beginning, it was originally referred to as globalization uh, and began with free market deals in somewhere in 90s, in 80s and 90s. The anti-globalization protests in 90s were a reaction against neoliberalism because many people uh, assumed to have forecasted some of the disadvantages which are associated with such free markets because there were many unequal, according to those protesters, unequal flows of money, capital, and trade in interest of certain states or certain industries within a state at the cost of some groups or some states in the world. The term neoliberalism as an academic discipline or within academics gained its prominence in after 2000s, and after that it remained very important part of various studies, not only economic studies but studies in economics, but also a regular part of discourse studies. Neoliberalism can be thought as the revival of old ideas of classical liberal era, and they have been revived now. Some of the key components of neoliberalism include privatization. That means that state should not be involved in the business or industry. The state should sell off its assets to private owners because it is assumed that private owners would be in a better position to run it more efficiently as compared to state, because involvement of state causes a lot of bureaucratic hurdles. It creates a lot of laziness or lackness on the part of workers or managers. So private owners can make a business more efficient and profit oriented, and government should take its taxes instead of being involved directly or seriously in any important business or industry. So it should be run by private interest and controlled by private owners. Privatization introduces efficiencies in their business operations. Deregulation is another key concept in new liberal philosophy. And what we call it is deregulation means the government should minimize the regulations which govern a certain business, business of an industry, of any other economic economic interest or economic adventures. It seeks to remove any regulatory framework from the operation of the economy and maximize its production by removing obstructive or hindering policies. Free markets is another key element of neoliberalism. It may be seen as a combination of both deregulation and privatization. Both, when combined, they create a free market in which the flow of capital and goods is unhindered by state regulations, and there is very little restriction even about its flow across the borders. Therefore, a free market can be seen in new liberal philosophy as a key component to success and economic profit. Individualization or individuation can be seen as another important feature, which may also be seen as an outcome of what new liberal philosophy or economics promotes. Uh, it 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 pays a hyper focus on individual at the level of individual as compared to the level of group or a certain part of a society. This kind of thought has been epitomized by the words of very renowned British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. She once said, "There is no such thing as society, only individuals." So, new liberal philosophy promotes a clear focus on individual, and they apparently, at least, claim that the growth development of individual is more important than the development of group. If an individual is growing, society or group would automatically grow. The transformation of the society in the mid 20th century welfare state to emphasize the individual beginning in the late 20th century, that has been how we have shifted from conservative or conventional capitalism to contemporary new liberal capitalism. So now the focus is more from a welfare state to a state which focuses on individual prosperity. So all these features make new liberal philosophy, and the discourses about this new liberal philosophy has been a key concern in critical discourse studies.